What's up, y'all? Hey. Happy Sunday, first day of Black History Month, all of the things. Look, we ain't gonna be here long. I didn't even light the candle. That should let y'all know how I feel. I didn't light the candle. Karen sat down to have her one-on-one with Andy Cohen, and that is what we watched tonight. Honestly, the first probably 15 minutes we've already seen. We've seen when Karen got out of jail and waved to the crowd and went home, and we saw her hugging Raven, and her sister was there, and Ray, and her talking about the inmates and how they took the braids out of their hair and put it in her hair. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all know I love me some Kern. But I'm gonna be a straight shooter and I'm gonna call a thing a thing. I knew when I saw that clip, this interview was gonna be some garbage. I knew when I saw the clip that this interview was gonna be some garbage. And the reason why I say that is because I feel like Karen was lying then. Because at the end of the day, if she's telling the truth, that's nasty. Who is letting somebody take their hair out their head and braid it into your head? That's nasty. But it don't even sound true. Because you, in your interview, you said that your makeup artist showed up with jeans, like a whole outfit for you to wear, and they couldn't bring you a wig. But okay, y'all, let's get into this interview. So someone said the braids was attached to the scarf. I believe that was. I believe that. I believe that. I do not believe that. I don't believe that story. Now, listen, it could be a true story. I just don't believe that story. But moving right along, child. Moving right along. So we see Andy show up. I mean, obviously, this is a planned interview. It's a sit-down interview. Karen looks good. Wig done, makeup done. Her little outfit was cute. It was casual, but it was dressy, but it didn't look like she was wearing a formal gown and stiletto heels in her living room. She had on some slides, and she had like a little dress, and it was cute. I thought she looked really nice. Hair looked nice, makeup looked nice. I thought she looked really nice. We got a chance to see her son, who we never see. I think this might be only the second time we've seen her son. And it was so funny because Andy asked him point blank. Andy was like, "Why you be hiding from our cameras? Why you be hiding from the cameras, bruh?" And he was like, "I don't hide. I'm just busy. I'm just a busy man." But the reality is everybody doesn't want to be on a reality show. And he's an adult and he can make that decision. And I guess he has made a decision that he doesn't want to be filmed. He doesn't want to be on the show. So I think it was a lot for him to agree to be a part of this, to talk on camera, have a conversation with Andy on camera. Andy tried to get in his business, but he would not let him. Like, well, busy doing what? He was like, busy, handling her affairs. And he was like, so Andy asked him, how did they work through this? And, how was he there for her? And even Ray said, look, because I thought it was interesting because he said, I was handling things and I had a lot of responsibility when she went to jail. And I'm like, so what? So Ray didn't like it. It sounded like Karen was a single mom. Like, yeah, I had to take on a lot of responsibility when she left. So I was like, so what was Ray doing? You know what I mean? I couldn't see his face either, but I think that was by design. I think he purposely did that. Again, I'm sure that the people in his real life that know him and they know who his mother is. But I think that was more for people like us who wouldn't be able to just casually recognize him on the street. You know what I mean? That's what I think. Ray is old. I mean, that's valid. That's valid that Ray is older and maybe that's valid. So but I thought that was a decent conversation. But again, he said, listen, I took and Ray co-signed. Ray said, yeah, he was doing a lot of her business stuff. So whatever Karen's business is, LaDom, whatever. Karen did say that Andy reached out to her, sent her a note. So, she said, I thought that was, that it meant a lot to her. That he did that. So then Karen and Andy move into another room and they sort of just have a one-on-one with just the two of them to have a conversation. Would you trust Ray to manage your money? Plus, I think the kids step up at times like this, so Ray may not have taken it all that personal. It doesn't seem like he took it personal at all. I was just saying for me. Would I trust Ray? Yeah, why wouldn't I trust Ray? Because he had some tax issues? A lot of people don't pay their taxes. That doesn't mean he's not a successful businessman. A lot of people get caught up in tax issues. You see, that was what, 6 or 7 years ago. We ain't heard no more about it. Ray probably sat down. He probably set up a payment arrangement, and he's probably kept that payment arrangement. We ain't heard nothing else about it. Ray ain't gone to jail, knock on wood. They've been in that same house. I mean, I believe they're renting it, but they've been in that same house. I mean, she moved into that rental that first year, and then when they moved into this house, they've been in that house ever since. So I don't see a problem with trusting Ray. Ray's a bit clearly. The one thing Karen said that she ain't never lie about. In order to owe millions, that means you had to make millions. She ain't wrong. If you owe the government, I forgot what his tax bill was, but if you owe the government a couple of $1 million, I mean, you made $10-20 million. So yeah, I would trust Ray. Absolutely, I would. Karen spun this whole conversation again. We about to get there, child. Karen paid it off. Remember what she was drunk at Monique's house drinking the Fireball. I believe that Karen contributed and helped him, but I also believe that Ray, listen, they ain't living the way they living off of Karen's money. I know that Karen has her, the farm, her family money. And yes, Karen has her businesses. And yes, Karen gets paid for this show. But I also believe that Ray has decent income. And yes, Karen did say, and Ray admitted that Karen helped him get out of tax debt. But what I believe is she helped him pay on it. I don't believe that Karen paid the whole thing. But I could be wrong. Look, I could be wrong. But either way, again, they live a very comfortable life. And knock on wood, let me just knock on some wood. We ain't heard no more about money issues since then. That's just my opinion, but moving right along. Shut up, JB. Here's my biggest issue. I mean, I have notes here. My biggest issue with this whole interview is my frustration. And I don't know Karen personally. Y'all know I do, I defend Karen a lot, but I can't defend what I can't defend. My biggest frustration with this interview is I am still not convinced that Karen has fully grasped her addiction. I have been around addicts in my family. I have been around friends who've gone through the process of AA or NA. And Karen, in my opinion, this is just outside looking in opinion, Karen is still not fully able to accept that she's an addict. It's like she wants to quantify it. She wants to excuse it. She wants to talk around it. At the end of the day, if you were addicted to prescription drugs and you were addicted to alcohol, you were an addict. And the other thing that was bothering me, and these are things that I know some people who have never dealt with addiction in their close family may not catch certain things. She kept using past tense words. You are not a past tense addict. You are an addict for the rest of your life. You are an addict. And I understand that you were taking prescription drugs, and I know you want to make it clear that you were taking prescription drugs, like you wasn't out on the street copping, copping some crack down on the corner. I get it, but at the end of the day, if you were using drugs and alcohol, however that combination looked, to get through the day, you were addicted to both. And when she was like, well, you know, I didn't get up in the morning and reach for the alcohol, she probably reached for the pills. The first thing she did in the morning was probably reach for those pills. But the problem is, at what point did you start drinking the alcohol? And she kept telling on herself. And that was the other problem. Like, she kept telling on herself as she was talking. It was like she was trying her best to talk around certain things, but then she would end up saying it. Like, by the end of the interview, she was like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. And I'm like, girl, then why you couldn't just say that? Like, why was it so hard for you to admit that you were an alcoholic? I don't know what it is about the alcohol that she does not want to accept the alcohol part of this. She talked about the DUI she had 20 years ago, and she was like, yeah, well, my family thought I had a problem 20 years ago. Which means that for the last 20 years, you have been a functioning alcoholic, Karen. You weren't on the pills 20 years ago because you said that when you went to go get help after the DUI, meaning you already had a DUI, that's when a doctor prescribed the drugs. So you started abusing drugs after you were already abusing alcohol. And if your kids felt like you had a drinking problem 20 years ago, mind you, Raven is in her 20s, right? Late 20s, and her son is in his 30s, maybe early 40s. That means that Raven was a child and could see that her mother had a drinking problem. That means that your son was maybe in his 20s-ish and could see that his mother had a drinking problem. So for the last 20 years, Karen, you have been a functioning alcoholic. And if Karen had said that in her interview, I would be like, oh my gosh, she is doing the work. But the fact that you could not articulate that is what scares me. That scares me. And when I say scares me, obviously, Karen, I don't know Karen in real life, but it scares me from that perspective that when I feel like I hear somebody that has not accepted, it makes me feel like it's easy for them to fall back into it. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? When they played the clip from the reunion, and she said, well, Ashley was right about me sitting at Legal Seafood, but that was 20 years ago. Girl, wasn't nobody talking to nobody was having a conversation with Ashley or Wendy about something that happened 20 years ago. If it wasn't if I was a bartender and I had a client that came in every day and got drunk every day 20 years ago, but I haven't seen them in the last 17 years, that's not even my conversation would be different. My conversation would be, oh my gosh, I'm glad I remember when, not she still does. Now she said that we saw this clip already too, that she didn't see the video. She didn't let Ray look at the video, that her attorneys did tell her to take the plea, but she was deep in her addiction and deep in her denial, and she wouldn't do it. Now, I have two thoughts on that. I'm going to come back around to it. She said she didn't watch the video until she was actually in rehab, which was after she was convicted, but before she was sentenced, and she knew then, oh yeah, I'm going to jail. She said they never offered her the plea, that was a rumor, that she never got offered a plea. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a couple of reasons. One, 99.99999% of the time, they offer you a plea. Even if they have the evidence, even in Karen's case where they have a slam dunk against you. Now, what they probably were saying was, we're not going to give you a deal without jail time because you were a repeat offender, Karen, and they did have that videotape of you. But do I believe that the DA reached out to your attorney and offered a deal? Absolutely, I do. I just don't think it was a deal you wanted. I do not believe for 1 minute that they never offered you some sort of a plea deal. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. Now, I might be wrong, but I just don't believe it. The other thing I don't believe is, I do not believe that your attorneys did not sit your ass down and make you watch even a snippet of that freaking tape. Karen had good attorneys. I know who Karen's attorneys were. Karen had very good attorneys. And I don't believe that they didn't try. Like, unless Karen, and again, these are the things that I needed. Now, I understand somebody might say, well, why do you need all of that, really? Well, that's what we hear. We here reviewing it, and I'm telling you what I needed for me to feel good, for me to feel like, okay, I got what I needed. Like, I feel like Karen is on the right path. What I needed Karen to describe was, they tried to make me watch it, and I ran out of the room. Cool. Then I'd be like, well, I mean, they can only do what they could do. They put the tape in front of you, and you ran out of the room because you ain't want to see it. Okay, cool. They showed it to Ray. Ray tried to talk to me. I wouldn't listen to Ray. But for you to be like, oh, well, I isolated Ray from this. I do not believe that Karen didn't. And again, she might not have seen the whole tape, but I don't believe that Karen didn't see some of the tape. I don't believe that Karen's attorneys didn't say, okay, well, if you won't listen to the tape, let me tell you some of your greatest hits. See, that's what I would have done. As her attorney, I'd have been like, okay, cool. You don't want to watch the tape? Let me give you some of your greatest hits. And Thomas Jefferson's concubine would have been at the top of my list. You said you were Thomas Jefferson's concubine, ma'am. You asked that man, did he know who you were because you were the grand dame? That's what you said on camera. You told that man you were a celebrity. You were a star. You told the police officer not to talk to you because he was being mean to you. You were telling the police officer in the car about your marital issues with your husband. You couldn't even get out the car because your ass was so inebriated, and then you turned to the police officer who had just driven you to the police station and said, damn, I'm lit. Ma'am, you said all of that on camera. See, if you're not going to watch the video, I'm going to tell you what's on it. Yes. Yeah, thank you, Nandy. And you're going to add on there that you're poor and white. Yes. See, again, I'm not an attorney. Y'all know I'm not an attorney. I got my law degree from law and order university by way of Matlock College. So I don't know these things, but I'm just thinking in my mind, if Karen were my client and I had seen that tape, baby, I'm strapping you down to this chair. You're going to watch this damn tape. But I just don't believe it. And that's what was frustrating me, because I'm listening to you, Karen, and I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Let me go through my notes, child. Let me start the notes, honey. Let me just go through these notes. She said she was in general population, that they tried to keep her isolated for as long as possible, but she wanted to be in general pop. Now, there's a part of me, I do believe that, and let me tell you why I believe that. Because in order for her to be isolated, that means that she probably would have had to been in, what they call it, solitary confinement, which means she would have been by herself for 24 hours a day. She gets 1 hour out. I probably would have wanted to be put in general population too. Like, who wants to do that for 6 months or for a year? Like, who wants to do that? So I can believe that she, was like, no, go on, put me in general pop. Like, I ain't trying to be over here by myself for, 24 hours a day, 23 hours a day, however many hours a day, child. She said she was working with the younger inmates because, there were people in there young enough to be her children. So, she was working with them. All right, I already talked about all of that. Doctor gave her the pills, talked about that. And this is what I literally have in my notes. Confused, alcohol or nah. I think I probably meant to say alcoholic or nah. Like, either you're alcoholic or you're not. There's no in between. There's no gray there. Why is it hard to accept that Karen didn't want to see herself at her worst moment, especially given her pride and everything else? I can understand someone not wanting to witness that. What I'm saying, Candace, is I understand her not wanting to. What I'm talking about is her attorney making her. That's what I'm saying. I understand Karen didn't want to see it. A lot of us don't want to see us at our worst moments because it is embarrassing. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't see myself like that. I get that. What I'm saying is, all right, fine. If Karen didn't want to watch it, I'm going to tell you what's on it. Because as her attorney, I feel like that was his due diligence. And let me be honest. And again, I'm not an attorney. I don't know what the laws are, what the rules are, what you can and can't do, how you can and can't quit. But I'm gonna be honest with you. If I could have, depending on what the law is, I'm quitting. If you won't even look at this tape, or you won't even allow me to talk to you about what's on the tape, I can't offer you a good defense, because that's part of what I am promising you as your attorney is a good defense. I can't give you a good defense if you won't even look at the evidence against you and help me curate a defense around this. If you won't even look at what the fuck happened, and you said you were blackout drunk, you don't even remember any of it, I need you to look at it so that we can create a defense for you, because you're not pleading guilty. You want me to go into a trial and actually defend this shit. So in order for me to go on trial and defend it, I need you to look at it and tell me what the hell is going on. So I hear what you're saying. I do believe that she didn't want to watch it. Got that. I believe she didn't want to watch it. That's why a lot of us, I know some YouTubers don't go back and watch their videos. They don't want to go back. Like, I get that part of it. But what I also understand is, as her attorney, how is he supposed to defend her? Now, it'd be different if she was like, just play guilty. I don't want to see it. I did it. I was drunk. I wrapped my car around that tree. Thank God I didn't kill nobody. That'd be a different conversation. But you wanted that man to go into court and give an opening statement and question witnesses. And like, you wanted a trial. Well, if you want a trial, then I need you to put your big girl panties on and let's watch this damn tape. That's all I'm saying. Then she said that as a woman who can't even admit whether she's a alcoholic or not, she admits she's a drug addict. She's okay with drug addict. She said she was in jail leading the NA and AA groups. As someone who has gone to these meetings with friends, I used to go to Al-Anon meetings, which are family and friends and family of addicts. I understand that it's not like you have to get a degree in order to lead an AA class or an NA class. Some groups will, rotate. Like, you have your leader, but then they'll rotate who's like leading certain sessions of the meeting, right? I can believe that Karen was allowed to lead certain sessions, but I, by no stretch of the imagination, feel like Karen was in charge of the girls. You know what I'm saying? She wouldn't say. Listen, she said her lawyers told her. She said she listening to her lawyers now, and her lawyers told her not to say the name of the medication because it could open her up to a lawsuit. I can see where that was a conversation if she was trying to blame the drugs for the reason why she was inebriated that night. But I don't feel like she went that far. But maybe her attorneys were like, don't even open up the door. I don't know. Right, Kim. Like, I don't know how you lead an AA group and you won't even say you're an alcoholic. Because like when Andy asked her point blank, are you an alcoholic? It's like she couldn't answer the question. Girl, yes. The answer is yes. Yes. And I have been an alcoholic, Andy. I've been an alcoholic. To be honest, I've been an alcoholic for the last 30 years of my life. I've been a functioning alcoholic because I still got up and I went to work. I still raised my kids. I still was a part of Jack and Jill. I was the president of Jack and Jill. I was I was that. Yes. But I still had to have my cocktail with me. Yes. But I still had to, have a drink when I came home. Yes. I did all of those things. But while my kids were at school, I was at the bar at lunchtime drinking my lunch. Like, Yeah, I understand why she can't say the doctor's name. I just didn't understand why she couldn't say the name of the medication. But I understand because if she's going to try to say, oh, it was the medication made me kind of thing. But it is what it is. Now, the one thing she did say was she never processed the assault and that she was almost had arrested development at the age of 19 from when the assault took place, and that it's taken her until therapy for her to really understand how the assault impacted her development and impacted her. I can 100% understand. When we have these traumatic experiences, especially when we talk about sexual assault, if we don't process them, if we don't work through it, some people don't need to go to a therapist, but if you need to go to a therapist, if you're at the point where you are using alcohol to get you through it, to get you through that pain, to process through that trauma, I get it. That I 100% understand, Karen. And I think that, and I could hear that you did maybe work through some of that in therapy. You know what I mean? They talked about the night of the accident. She said her and Ray were having marital problems and she didn't want to be home. And she said that she was leaving the house because she just didn't want to be at home. So I don't know if her and Ray had a fight, or she said, the kids weren't here. The house was quiet. It was just me and him, and I wasn't happy. Again, I think that's honest. I think that's honest. I think that's real for her to be like, look, I just wasn't loving life. She wouldn't say that she was an addict, but she just said that she was on a lifelong journey of recovery. Karen, why are we playing word games? I'm on a lifelong journey to recovery. What? Girl, you're an addict. Period. That's it. That's all. You're an addict. I don't understand what the rest of this conversation is, Karen. You are an addict. Lifelong journey to recovery. Girl. She didn't speak to the friends she allegedly went to see that night and why they left her alone in her state. I don't believe that's where Karen was. I don't believe Karen was at a friend's house because a friend would not listen. If a friend let her leave their house the way she was on that video, and she was only 5 minutes from her house, if a friend, that ain't a friend. Ain't no way in hell. And again, don't tell me what you can't do. Karen weighed $105 and she was inebriated. If you take her purse from her, she can't go nowhere because she was driving a Maserati, so she probably had a key fob. The key fob was probably in her purse. Baby, take that purse. She can't go nowhere. You ain't even got to try to wrestle keys out of her hand. Just take the purse. Even if she can start the car, she can't go past the driveway. The car's going to cut off. Like, you ain't even got to play no games. There's no reason in the world that if Karen was with a friend, that a friend lets her leave like that. Not like that. Not like what we saw in that video. And if they did, they're not her friends. Period. They're not her friends. I don't think that's where Karen was. I do believe Karen was probably at an establishment that let her drive home. I do not believe Karen was with friends. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I believe that she was at an establishment that let her drive home. That intersection is narrow. I drove by to see the scene of the accident. Not with that wig sliding. Right. Like, it was clear. Like, let's be clear. If what we saw on camera was after Karen had a whole accident, waited for the police to show up, waited for Ray to show up, went through that whole situation, got in a car, was taken to the police station, and she was in an interrogation room, and that's still what we got. Can you imagine what she was like when she left the house? Because how many of y'all have felt like y'all were a little tipsy or a little woo-woo, and then something happened and you be like, oh shit, that sobered me right up. If none of what we saw sobered her up enough to have a coherent conversation at the police station, how you think she was when she left somebody's house? Either that or Karen was somewhere drinking in her car. I don't believe Karen was with friends. And if she was, those are not her friends. Is that all my notes? I thought I had more notes, but at a certain point, I stopped taking notes because she was getting on my nerves. Then Karen said, now, for the guys in the room, close your ears because I don't want to gross y'all out. Andy was asking her about her jail cell and all this other stuff. And she's talking about how she had a steel toilet and a steel bed. And Karen said something about her cycle. And she told the people that she had a heavy cycle so she could line her toilet with toilet paper. Karen, you know good and damn well you ain't got no damn cycle. And nobody in that prison believe you got a cycle. Karen. Absolutely not. Nobody in that prison believe you got a cycle. Now, they might have been nice to give you some extra toilet paper. But absolutely not. You said it was funny. I mean, my thing is, Karen, you know good and well ain't nobody in that damn jail believe you had no girl. Ain't nobody in that jail believe that. But I ain't mad at you for doing what you had to do to get a little extra toilet paper, girl. Do what you got to do. But I put it in my notes because, I mean, I wasn't mad like, girl, you lying. I was mad like, Karen, you know good and damn well. So Karen, I think I already told y'all this. Karen did say that what Ashley said about the legal seafood was true. But again, she kept downplaying. It was like, but that was 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago. Just like when she was talking about all her DUIs. Andy was like, well, girl, you had 4 DUIs. Well, Andy, let's talk about it. It was 2 DUIs. The other ones were incidents involving alcohol. Girl, what? So you alcoholic and incidents involving alcohol. Girl, if you don't go, Karen, if you don't go sit your ass down. Yeah, I think they were just giving her the toilet paper, y'all. But I'm just saying, she said that was the lie she told them, and I was just like, Karen, you know nobody believed you. That's all I'm saying, y'all. I'm not making that a federal offense. I'm just joking about it. But I'm like, Karen, you know good and damn well ain't nobody in that jail believe that. She said there was nobody else in the car with her. She said that's not true. That was a lie. There's nobody else in the car with her. So Ashley's saying that was some bullshit. Now, whatever is going on between her and Wendy, she said that her and Wendy need to have that conversation. And she said she said Wendy knows exactly why she feel that way about Wendy. She said Wendy knows why they're no longer friends. She said they were friends and Wendy knows what the issue is. She also said that but that's still playing semantics to say, well, she got 2 DUIs, but the other 2 may not have been alcohol related. Driving under the influence means you were driving under the influence, whether it was drugs, whether it was alcohol. I think the point Andy was trying to make was, girl, this was your 4th incident. Either way, you were on the road when you shouldn't have been. I do believe that whatever happened between Karen and Wendy is probably some off-camera shit that happened between her and Wendy. She said that she don't understand why Wendy was surprised that she didn't thank Wendy, because she said Wendy ain't reach out to her. She said, I didn't hear from Wendy. She said Wendy didn't call me. Wendy didn't reach out to me. Wendy didn't check on me. So why would Wendy feel shocked that I wouldn't thank her in my video? Because I hadn't heard from Wendy. She said that Giselle actually, out of all of the ladies, Giselle did the best job of checking in on her and keeping up with her. She said, but she was only dealing with family. So she didn't talk to any of the girls. You know, she didn't reach out to anybody. She was only talking to family. But she said that Giselle did a good job of checking in. They had a sit down after the finale that was filmed but didn't air. Who? Karen and Wendy? I thought she said at Tally Ho that David was talking. Right. She said, but she didn't. She said nobody was in the car with her. She said, because remember, Ashley tried to say that somebody else was in the car. She said nobody was in the car with her. She didn't say she wasn't on the phone. She said nobody was in the car. Yeah, again, I'm not saying that Karen has a good reason to be mad at Wendy. I don't know what that reason is. I'm just saying she was like, Wendy knows and it's between them. I just think it's an off camera issue. I don't think, I mean, clearly didn't happen on the show because we didn't know anything about it. So whatever it is, it's something between the two of them off camera. I don't know what it is though. Um, those were all my notes are. I'm a little disappointed because I honestly was expecting more accountability. And I know for y'all, those of y'all that aren't Karen fans, y'all are gonna be like, what you mean? Why would you expect that? Why would you think, why would I get it, y'all ain't Karen fans, got it. But I was expecting more accountability. I really was. I really, really was. Really, B, do you think Giselle may actually be a good person outside of the show? I don't know Giselle, so I don't know. I mean, I know you're asking me what do I think. I can only go by what I see on the show, and based on what I see on the show, no. But I don't know her. You know, I don't know her. So I don't want to put that, I don't want to put that on Giselle off of an edited TV show. But again, in my opinion, do I think that do I think that Giselle is a good, based on what I see on the show, she's not somebody I'd be friends with. But again, that's off of an edited show. I mean, did Karen take some responsibility? She did. But I felt like I was just disappointed because I felt like she would be further along in her sobriety journey, and I don't see that. Based on this interview, I just don't see it. But that was pretty much it, y'all. I told y'all we wasn't gonna be here long. It didn't. A lot of the interview we had already seen. They had given us so many sneak peeks. We had seen like the first 20 minutes, I feel like, and then the rest of it. I mean, what I will say though is, I appreciate that Karen did the interview. I appreciate that Karen. I do think she was as vulnerable as she's willing to be, as open as she's willing to be. And I think if nothing else that we walk away from, I think we all know that Karen is going to be back on next season of Potomac. At the very least, they're going to offer her a job. Do I think she needs to come back? I don't know. She said that Housewives. She said Andy asked her, "Do you think that Housewives, was part of the reason why?" And she was like, "No. If anything, Housewives gave me structure. Housewives gave me, a morning, noon, and night. So she probably drank more when they weren't filming. To be honest." She also said, "Oh shoot, I lost it." Oh, excuse me. Do you think she's leaving Ray? She said she hasn't made up her mind about that part yet. I don't know. Now, if her and Ray end up divorcing, she definitely coming back because she's gonna need the job. You know what I mean? She says she's not addicted to her phone. She said she still uses it, but she's not like she was before. You know, addicted to her phone, which is good. I think most of us, myself included, probably need to have a little less screen time. No, she said he asked her when was the last time you drank. She said after the accident. She didn't say the night of the accident. She said after the accident. She did say she had a drink after the accident. She just wouldn't say when after. She didn't pinpoint when after the accident, but she said after the accident. Also, I think he asked her how long she'd been sober, and I don't think she gave a date on that either. She just said she'd been sober a while. She didn't give a date on that. It's a lot to ask someone who's just out of jail or entering recovery to have processed their addiction 6 months ago. She's been an addict for over 20 years. That's a lot. No, it's not. It's not a lot. It's not a lot for somebody to say, yes, I'm an addict. Yes, I'm an alcoholic. No, it's not. I'm not asking her to have all of the answers. I'm not asking her to have it all figured out. But if she can't even admit that she's an alcoholic, no, I don't think that's a lot to ask her to process. And this is coming from somebody that's been through it with family and friends. I don't think it's a lot. Because that's the bare minimum. You can't even start a recovery journey without admitting you're an alcoholic or you're an addict. If she can't say, yes, I'm an alcoholic, you still at step 1, baby. You're still at step 1. So I don't think it's too much to ask her to have it to. And again, I'm not asking her to have all of the answers, but to be able to look Andy Cohen in his face and say, yes, I am an alcoholic. She didn't have no problem saying she was addicted to pills, but it was something about that alcohol that she does not want to accept. That's what she needs to be processing. And the reason why I say that scares me is because if she can't accept that she is an alcoholic, then she's going to make excuses to drink. And again, I don't know, Karen, y'all. I'm talking about addicts in general. I'm not talking about Karen specifically because everybody's story is different. But if you won't admit that, yes, I'm an alcoholic, meaning I should not have alcohol, then you're going to find a reason to make an exception. Oh, well, I can have a little wine. Oh, it's a special occasion. I'll take this toast. They can toast the champagne to me. It's a special occasion. Like, you will find the excuses. You will find the reasons. And that is what makes me nervous. And again, this is coming from somebody that's, I've seen it. I mean, I'm not an addict. I haven't been an addict, but I have definitely seen it in my intimate circle. That's the easy part. The easy part, well, it's not the easy part. That's the first step. That ain't the easy part because it's not easy to admit that you're an addict. But if you're telling me you're leading AA meetings, do you understand that that's how you start off with alcohol? Do you understand? And I'm not saying you, the person that made the statement, I'm saying in general. Do you understand that's how you start off an NA meeting or AA meeting? Hi, my name is Really B and I'm an alcoholic. That is how you start a meeting off. That is the first thing you say. So if you can't articulate that statement, how are you leading a meeting? But, she definitely has the resources. It seems like she has the support. Maybe she'll continue to do the work. And maybe she'll get there. Maybe there's a knot in her throat every time she tries to get it and it just won't come out. I don't know. But anyway, so let me get off of here. You guys know that there is no Whether You Like It or Not panel tomorrow night. because we decided we weren't going to do a panel on this episode. So we will see you guys next Sunday. Next Monday. Y'all know that I have a short week this week because I'm going out of town on Thursday. So tomorrow you'll get Married to Medicine. I'll probably do Married to Medicine in the same time slot that I would normally do the Whether You Like It or Not panel. So 8:00-ish. Tuesday, don't know, because there is no more Salt Lake City. So Tuesday we'll probably just do a tribe meeting. Tuesday or Wednesday we'll try to do a teacher project. And then Thursday, that's it. As far as reviews until I get back in town. If I have time, I don't want to make any promises for anything, but if I have time, I will try to pre-record and upload some stuff to post some reviews. I just can't make any promises because it's going to depend on what I'm able to watch in the next couple of days. But if I can watch a couple of things, I only want to say what I'm thinking about trying to watch. But if I can watch something and pre-record 2 or 3 episodes, and then I'll just have it scheduled to upload like maybe Friday, Sunday, then we'll do it like that. But other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow for Married to Medicine. On the main channel, we'll probably do a teacher project. We'll probably do a tribe meeting on the main channel. Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll do a teacher project. And there's that, you guys. That's the week. I will talk to y'all later. Peace. I ain't even took out my suitcase yet because my niece was here this weekend, and she stays in my back bedroom, and I usually put my suitcase on the bed, and so she was here, so I'll probably pull my suitcase out tomorrow and start packing tomorrow. All right, talk to y'all later. Peace.